If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Hello. This is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. I am your host, Claire Hill, and I'm a self-belief coach, business mentor, and founder of the Vivid Club. Today, I'm joined by Tierra Womack. She's a human design-based business mentor. She has won awards. She is all about alignment and wealth and money. And if you have stumbled across this podcast and you are up for some motivation to pump you full of some drive for your business, for your life, then Tierra's going to give it to you. This is a really massively impactful episode. Please let me know what you're going to take away from this episode once you finish listening to it. What are you going to action? And tell me how inspiring Tierra is. And please share it with her too. Enjoy. Hi, Tierra. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. Our wonderful mutual friend, Grania, has introduced us and was both like, you're going to be amazing chatting. You are perfect for the podcast. And for those of you who are not watching Tierra, she's got this beautiful pink blazer on. You couldn't look more vivid. So no rest for the vivid. You are in the perfect place.
Thank you so much. Yeah, pink is like, it makes me feel alive.
Yeah, it's such a lush colour, isn't it? It's the best. So for those people listening that don't know who you are, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am Tierra Womack, and I am a human design-based manifestation mentor and wealth activator for women. And I am just so grateful to be here today for this conversation. So thank you again for having me.
That is like such a powerful job title, isn't it? Not only do you know about human design, it's a manifestation, and that the wealth and the money, like it's just like the perfect combo. You are like a powerhouse.
It like literally, I kind of like I'm holding my hands like this because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get to be that for women. And I feel like it's such a culmination of 18 years as an entrepreneur, but like this is my thing, this is my purpose, like completely lights up my world.
Love it. So tell us your business love story. Where did it all begin?
It
Once
is
upon a
definitely,
time.
yes, it is definitely a story. So like I just mentioned, I've been an entrepreneur 18 years. I have been in primarily though male dominated industries with my businesses and very boring. But the thing is they made money, right? So and that's what I was chasing when I first started out as an entrepreneur. I was chasing the money. And yes, I hit the seven figures and did all the things. But on a personal note, I was miserable because I was in, like, when I finally did hit seven figures, I was in my second long term narcissistic abusive relationship and, absolutely miserable behind closed doors. But in the public, I always say I was like top of the leaderboard in the community, PTA board, all the things,
Right.
right? And then behind the scenes, bottom of the leaderboard in relationships. So what occurred was like, I need to get out of this relationship. I have to do it for not only my two sons, but also for my sanity. Like, I can't wear the mask anymore. That, like, honestly, for everyone listening, like, that's what it came down to. Is like, I literally left a PTA meeting. I walked into the door of my $1 million house and I fell on the floor. Like, I could not, it took everything in me to wear that mask that day, smiling down the street, waving to everyone. And I just was like, something has to change. So that day, I decided that I was going to leave. But for me, that meant starting over, which is why I had stayed for so long, and which is why I see so many women stay in, situations for way longer than they intend to because of the lifestyle and all of the things. Two parent home. So my sons and I ended up leaving, and I got mad. I got mad that I had stayed so long because I was scared of my capability. I had just built this, seven-figure business and had successful businesses prior, but I was scared and worried about my ability to do it again, as a single mother. And I just was like, you know what? I had no idea what I was going to do next to bring in income because when I walked away, I literally had to walk away from everything.
Yeah.
But I was like, there are other women out there like me because just in passing and like friends who knew what was going on in my world, they would then be like, are you willing to talk to, XYZ? And I'm like, sure. And trust, I didn't even know like coaching was a thing, but I was just like, yeah, I'll talk to this person. And I'm talking about C-suite women, very successful women that I am having conversations with. And then later on, they would reach out and say, hey, I think I'm with the narcissist, or hey, can you talk a little bit more about what you're going through? And I'm just like, really? Like, oh my God, this is really pissing me off that all of these women essentially feel stuck. So
Mm.
that's where the Brave Way was basically born, right? Just having a way for women to feel brave enough to step out of the boxes or situations and relationships that were stifling them. And so it was all about empowerment and rebuilding our worth and our wealth. And the coaching was born. So that was beautiful. But what happened was I saw success. So that built to about six figures in a little bit of a year. And then I started having a lot more women though that would come up to me and say, hey, I'm happily married, right? Or I haven't been
Right.
with a, but I want to talk about money. And I was like,
Okay.
okay. So then there was a pivot in my business. I essentially burned like everything down, just focusing on the narcissistic abuse to really have a more wealth conscious conversation with women, but real and raw
Mm.
around like our money stories and everything. And so that led me into the second iteration of the Brave Way. And then human design came across my lap, which let me tell you, Claire, I was so against it. Just was that I was against human design, but I was just like, what is this? It felt like very mean girl society. Like you have to be ascended to the such and such to
Yeah.
be human design. And the language, everything was just like, no, I don't want any parts of it. But it kept coming to me. So I was like, okay, let me just look into it, right? So I found my human design and so much opened up for me because
Yeah.
until that point, it was like I was still trying to remember who I was coming out of those relationships. And human design answered so much for me. So I started incorporating that into my life and then into, different activities and whatnot with clients, and they loved it. So that's where the human design element came in. And here we are. Here we are.
I was exactly the same about human design when I first found it. I
Yeah.
was like, "What is all this mumbo jumbo? What you're telling me that you're gonna know exactly the kind of person I am by where I was born at what time?" And
Yeah.
then when I learned, I'm a projector. When I learned about it, and then the profile numbers and all of that, and it all opened, I was like, "Well, this is
Mhm.
pretty bang on."
Yeah. Yeah. It is so spot on. Like you said, with just four pieces of information, but it
Yeah.
tells so much and gives so much guidance and allows for women that were, similar to my situation that are rebuilding and learning to trust ourselves again. Like it allows us that roadmap, for us to follow. And I just was like, oh my God. And plus, like simplified, right? Like my thing is like simplifying human design way down.
Yeah.
Archaic language, like I'm like, stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it's more accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love
Yeah. And
that.
I'm a 4-6 generator, by the way. So of course you're
Oh,
a
okay.
predictor. I am not surprised. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm a 5'1", I think, profile. Yeah.
Okay. That makes
I think
sense.
it's five. I'm pretty sure it's 5'1". I always get confused because I learn about like my best friend works with me, and I learned that she's a manifester 6'2", I think, or something. So I was
Mm.
like, right, okay. So then I've like gone into this whole thing. I was like, I've been reading all day about how our profiles work together. So we,
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
what? I love it. So you were
Oh,
taught. So you got really fascinated with all your human design, and
mhm.
was that at the same time as the money? Or was it sort of like the money came first or the human design? Because I know you love talking about money, don't you?
I do. Oh, I love money.
Yeah.
Unapologetically. Well, it's so funny because I decided to make the shift into money as the main focus of the Brave Way. Now, I still do the NARC piece. That's always going to be a part of the coaching, but not solely. And
Right.
what I realized was the human design kind of brought it all together because I had a money story that I couldn't necessarily talk about money and mentor women in money because I hadn't hit seven figures in this industry,
Okay.
right? So incorporating in the human design allowed me to like release so much of my own money story and really allow for the coaching to bloom. So it was like the money was there, but it really like once I started embodying my human design, this is one thing to just know it. It's information, it's fun, right? But when I started embodying it in my everyday is when the money piece really, I was like, okay, yes, this is my purpose, which it really literally through my human design, I learned it is my purpose to talk about. Yeah.
That's amazing. So with your like you've got a Facebook group, I know you do, and you've got like some things that you've been talking about on Instagram about money blocks and sort of telling lies to yourself to keep you stuck and these poverty money stories. I find it all so fascinating and interesting because I think I did a solo podcast recently about how when I talk about any trauma that I've experienced or anything, it's like tars coming out of my mouth and keeping me stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really embracing that is part of my story and not my whole story. And I think that's really that, like when I've been watching you on Instagram, that's what you're alluding to with money, isn't it? It's like it's part of your story, but it's not your whole story, that part of your life.
Yeah, it's like breathing. The thing about it is a part of our every day to day. I am my best and biggest client, right? And so just because I'm on this journey back to seven figures, I know it's just that. It is a journey, it is a process, it is a part of the story. And I see so many women that I work with who have the success but they still feel broke. It's like, how am I a millionaire, right? But I still feel broke or I'm still worried every,
Wow.
month that about the bills. I know some, seven figure and high six figure clients who are bringing in less in their pocket after they pay their overhead than women that are making $40,000 a year. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
Oh,
what is,
wow.
yeah, it's fascinating, right? And so
Yeah.
then that also ties into their money story. So it's like understanding when I talk about money and what I call like money festing, right?
Okay.
What it is truly healing our money trauma. So it's deeper than just the affirmations and the meditations and the visualizations. Those work, yes, and they're powerful. But until we can stop lying to ourselves in our bodies, that's when we can truly feel safe with money and bring in the money and success that we're looking for in our lives and our businesses. So that was a part of, my healing was understanding that I brought into this chapter or the chapter prior, not the current chapter of my story around this struggling single mother.
Right.
Right. Because I had watched my mother struggle as a single mother before she got married. She had watched her mother, and I heard about my grandmother struggling as a single mother before she got married. So, of course, and society says single mother struggle. Now, not to negate that it's different from a two-parent home, but I was like, what if we had a narrative of single mothers thriving? What if that was what I carried in and that was the norm versus it being rare for single mothers not to have the support and resources and all the other things that they're needing? So when I shifted that, I'm like, oh my God, that wasn't even my money story, right? But I had to do some healing first for that to even become uncovered, right? And then also this whole money story, a lot of people feel like when they hit the six figures or they hit the seven figures, so much is going to be changed in their life. And here's the thing, so much of our lives don't change. When you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have seven figures in the bank, you're still going to brush your teeth. You're still going to bring your kids to school. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
lot of it doesn't change. And so that is probably the biggest mind blowing thing for people. They're like waiting for like, oh, to come down from the heavens, right? And it's like, wait, I still have to go get gas. I still have to do, still have to cook, like I still have to do these things. But the point is now you have options. Now you have flexibility in the way that you are showing up in your day to day. And it's like understanding that identity because so many of us are more comfortable at a thermostat of a poverty mindset and aren't even aware. So what do we start to do? Well, when the money finally comes in, the more money we make, the more money we spend, right? So that we can continue into those cycles of zero, the feast and famine. Oh my God, let me raise my hand because that was me. Feast and famine cycles galore. And
Mm.
it's like we continue to experience those until we really heal our money trauma and our money story that we're carrying around many times, which is not even our own.
Yeah. If anyone's listening to this and they're not quite sure what a poverty mindset is or sticking it like the feast and famine kind of thing, can you describe what that kind of mindset might show itself in like daily life?
Absolutely. So, at the core level, it's self sabotage when it comes to
Okay.
money, right? So, what that feast and famine may look like is, yes, you bring in more money, then you are finding ways, whether it's giving money away or, having bigger expenses in your business, in your life, buying a lot of material things, like just sabotaging yourself in a way so that you can come back to this cycle of zero, this feast, where now I have to
Okay.
hustle. Now I have to figure things out because you think, or even subconsciously, that you operate better in this mode. So I call it like the
Right.
anti-hustle millionaire, right? Like you actually only come back to this place because that's what you think you do better in. You don't think that you can handle more money, or you're scared to handle more money, even though you don't necessarily realize that yet. And so you find ways to sabotage yourself. It can also look like as simple as when you go to a restaurant, are you looking at the prices first before you decide what it is you want to eat? Or are you like, what do I have a taste for? Right. So it's
Okay.
not to say to spend your whole savings in a restaurant, but to go based off of what you're desiring and wanting to receive versus, okay, this price is going to determine what I eat today. Right? Going into the grocery store, do you look at the price of food before you pick what type of bread you want? Or are you like, this is the type of bread I want?
Oh, do you know, I had a bit of I don't know if in America you have an Aldi. Do you have Aldi over in
Yes,
America?
yes, we
Right.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was in there and I'm not trying to be frugal, but I have my budget for the month and
Mhm,
then for the house. And that is so that we can save and do
mhm.
fun things. So we've got lots of pots of savings now, which is something I'm doing now that I never had before. So I feel safe with money, I suppose. I was in Aldi and there was the Aldi bread version and then the branded. And the branded was twice the price. Now I thought my husband's going to want the branded, but I was like, but it's half the price. It'll do. And I went for it. But I should have bought the other one, even though it's like, but that is my poverty mindset. That's from how
Mhm.
far can I get my money to go? But I was talking about this with somebody else. I actually really enjoy saying this is the amount of money, and I always give us like I give enough and loads. Like it's we have loads of money to have lovely food, but then I love a cupboard cleanse at the end of the month because
Yeah.
I enjoy the creativity of my meals from what's in the
Yep.
cupboards.
Yep.
But then, and I think, oh, I'm proud of that. But then saying that, I did have enough money for the brandy bread that would be actually nicer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's all about creating an orgasmic life because I feel like if we have had a pivot, whether that's a divorce, career change, shift in our business, whatever that looks
Yeah.
like, if we have to rebuild or, if we burn down certain aspects of our business, whatever that looks like, let's do it massively and let's do it in an orgasmic way, right?
Mm.
Pleasure based. And so it's like, what would have given you more pleasure in that moment? The branded or the Aldi. If the Aldi one, even though it was a lower price, would have go with that. It's like allowing ourselves to
Mm.
listen. I don't know if you guys have like a Dollar Tree there, but there's a store here and everything in it. Well, it used to be a dollar, now
Yeah.
it's a dollar.
We call it Poundland. Poundland.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. That is my I love. I will go in there. I don't care how many millions I have in the bank. Dollar Tree is my jam, right? It
Yeah.
just is. And so it's like I can enjoy that though. So it's like allowing ourselves
Yeah.
the space to say, I actually like the Aldi brand. I
Yeah.
like my cupboard cleanse at the end. Like I enjoy that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it's coming from a place of I don't have enough
Yes.
for the
Okay.
branded, then that's when it's coming from a poverty mindset place,
Okay.
right? If you
Yeah.
have enough and it's not taking away from anything else, and you truly desire the branded and you don't get it, that is the poverty mindset piece.
Yeah.
But if you're just like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll pick the Aldi this time, then that's okay, that can
Yeah.
still be a prosperity mindset. Yeah.
And I think I alluded to that because when I was growing up, we didn't have any money. And so we only got the very basic, the bit, like my mum would go shopping and it would literally, and I'm a single parent family as well,
Mhm.
literally the bare, we used to have Tesco value and it would be like blue and striped tins and packaging. They don't do it anymore, but that's all we ate. I just lived
Mhm.
on that Tesco value. So I'm always looking, thinking, oh, what's the best price? But you're right. I have switched because I did it because I enjoyed the fact that, well, I want that money to go because
Yeah.
it feels empowering to say that's the budget that we've got.
Mhm.
But I can't believe we're talking about supermarkets. But it's interesting to know where the mindset of me has actually shifted because straight when I was talking to you, I was thinking, I suppose I felt a little bit ashamed that I was going after an own brand because of that poverty mindset, but
Mhm.
actually it has shifted. So thank you for that.
Yes, yes, we have
Yeah.
to give ourselves grace. And like, I love a good deal. And I had to
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
about myself is like, there's one, thing if you are shopping and it's from a place of this is all I can afford, right? So I have to look for the deals.
Mm.
Versus like, this is like a game. Like, I love a good
Yeah,
deal. I love a BOGO. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah.
ooh, okay, so these are the, I love that. And it comes from a place of empowerment versus like, oh, this is all I have, which is a very, much lower energy vibration. And also, I'm just like, I'm always asking myself, like, how much fun can I have today? How easy will I let life be today? And I always declare that everything I spend, I get back twofold or threefold. Like whatever number I want to say, whatever feels good for me. So it's like, even if I buy the branded, like whatever I spend comes back threefold. It's all good.
Oh, I love that. There's a new thing that I've recently I've embodied when if anyone around me says I can't afford that or we haven't got any money, I
Mhm.
reframe it for them because I say, well, you do have the money, but you prioritize spending it on other things. So, if you haven't got the money to go on holiday, but you are prioritizing the fact you can pay your mortgage or your rent. So you've got a home
Mhm.
over your roof.
Mhm.
How do you feel like, is there any other of your favorite reframes in that kind of line where people can really like instantly feel better about how they feel about money?
Yes. Oh my, first of all, that is actually one of them, right? It's like we always have enough,
Yeah.
and when I say always, I mean for like the little things, like you said, vacation, holiday, you just may not have it in excess,
Mm.
right? But I always like to say something that was really powerful for me in the identity work and that I do with women in my Creatrix program is like around I'm in the process of, right? Because a
Right.
lot times if we like I couldn't there was a time when I couldn't look in the mirror, and even now today there's certain things that I can't look in the mirror and say I am this, right? So for some people that are told like look in the mirror and say I am wealthy, I am the it's like I may not feel it right now. And again, our subconscious will let us lie to ourselves, our mind will let us lie to ourselves, our body won't. If you don't feel it in your body, it's not going to manifest or manifest. So what I like to say is I'm in the process of, right? So I'm in the process of building a seven-figure business. I'm in the process of, going on holiday. I'm in the process of, and that to me feels so much better. And the mind can't say you're lying, whatever it is, I'm in the process of
Yeah.
writing a book, right? I'm in the process of. So that has been something that's been so powerful for money mindset shifts for not only me, but my clients. Like that is like the line. We always have a fun game of that. I'm in the process of, right? And then allowing ourselves to like really understand what is that threshold of success for ourselves, right? Because it's different for everyone. Let me just
Mm.
start by saying that. And even deeper than that is like, I feel like there's such a conversation around women being entrepreneurs, and there's so much shame
Mm.
around like because even I was talking to my sister the other day and she's like, sometimes I feel bad when I tell people I have not a corporate job. She's like, and I love my job and it's in a great industry, but I almost feel ashamed because when people say what do you do, I don't have like a side hustle or something entrepreneurial to say that I'm
Oh,
doing. And I'm like,
really?
that yes, I'm seeing so much more of that. And so some of the women coming into my world aren't entrepreneurs, and I'm like, listen, it's okay, because
Mm.
entrepreneurs are here to build environments where hopefully our staff, our team can thrive and enjoy themselves. So if someone has that as their their meaning of success to be in that type of environment and have that sense of security. It's like, go with it, right? Whatever that looks like, even as an entrepreneur, if you are okay making $50,000 a year, don't be so caught up in somebody else, like me saying, oh, well, I'm striving back to seven figures. Because it's like we have to stop this narrative around shame when it comes to money. And I always say too, like, having these open conversations and being really honest with ourselves. I feel like money is like sex a lot of times,
Yeah.
right? People are ashamed to say when they don't have a good relationship with it. They don't know where to turn to, get help, right? And they're also afraid many times to say that they want more of it.
Yeah.
And so it's like this whole conversation and narrative. So, again, I just feel like the more honest we can get with ourselves around our money stories, the more we can shift these money stories for ourselves, using those types of mantras like, everything that I spend, I get back threefold. I'm in the process of, right? Just kind of going through and seeing what feels good for us.
Yeah. When you were saying about wanting more, that was one thing when I first started this journey of the limiting belief of, well, then that would mean I was greedy because I'm taking from somebody else. And I know that's such a recurrent and popular thing to talk about in with money and rewriting your money mindset, because there isn't the general narrative out there in society is that there are people that have got so much less, in the news. I mean, my husband works with homeless adults, so he sees it all of the time. So, but it's okay to want more, because in my head, I think, well, then I've got more opportunity to give more if I choose to. And if I don't have anything, I've got nothing to give anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if we think about it, so prosperity is as natural again as breathing, right? If you look at a woman's body by nature, we are meant to receive. We are
Yeah.
meant to receive more and more. And so there's over thousands of years we have been indoctrinated into this whole narrative that, receiving is bad. Wanting more is bad, but the planet itself is abundant. Our breath is abundant, our heartbeat is abundant. Like, there's so much abundance even in our very being. So when we look at, the problem is sometimes people with more don't do good things with it,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
that's why it seems like we're taking from others. But what I know to be true is money in the hands of women changes the world, it changes lives. And you're absolutely right. The more we have, the more I can do. Mother Teresa had a private jet. They say money doesn't make you happy,
Jay,
but
Mother
yes,
Teresa had a private jet.
a private jet. Yes.
That's blown my
But
brain.
if you want to know why, because it's like she can access more
Of
people
course,
than
yeah.
walking on a, horse and buggy. You know what I mean? To
Wow.
conserve gas. So it's like at the end of the day, how are we using the more that we have, right?
Mm.
So that again, women with money is where the big shifts in the world come. And that's why I'm so adamant about more money, more women having more money,
Yeah.
because we do great things with it. But we hear all these stories about like, oh, this celebrity went bankrupt or this. And so many women are like, oh my God, I don't even think I want more money, because then it's more money, more problems. And it's like, yes, you do, but you're carrying somebody else's money story that is not even your own, because
Mm.
you with money will do great things with it and you can help. Like, I get the biggest joy paying the person's groceries behind me, or like when I'm in a drive-through, my sons and I, it's a game, we pay for the food behind us, and it's like driving off, I get pleasure. So maybe it's
That's
selfish
so
because again,
lush.
yeah, like I am pleasure based. It gives me extreme pleasure to do those types of things. And so it's like, but I can only do that when I'm in overflow, so it just
Yeah.
makes logical sense. How can I be a blessing to others, to be blessed the way that I've been blessed, if I don't have overflow? And yes, we can do it with time, but let's be honest, in our world, money talks.
Yeah.
Money may not make you happy, but neither does being broke. I'm
No.
sorry. Yeah.
Being broke does not make you happy.
I don't care who, nobody, yes.
Yeah, yeah. God, that's blown my mind about Mother Teresa. Like, literally. just because that's not how the media. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what I'm 38, and so she was a lot. So she died around, must have been about 20, 30 years ago. And she, all of the media, all of the photos, it portrayed her as, not in a million years would she have a private jet.
Can you believe, like, imagine what that headline would have been? Like
Yeah,
Mother Teresa praying for the world from atop the heavens, in her private jet. But it's true, but it wasn't a part of her image. You know what I mean? But if you
no.
just think about access, for me, money is just a spiritual byproduct. It's a gift of us being in flow, in embodiment of our most
Yeah.
divine self. It's like that paper and the dollars and cents is just a byproduct.
Mm,
Because when we're in abundance and health and wealth and joy and all the other things, money, it just flows. When you open up that spigot to receiving, because so many women say they want more, but they don't even realize they have blocks to receiving more. Right. So that's why it's not coming in many times. It's like when we can really step into that energy, that's when so much shifts, right? That identity piece. But that wasn't a part of Mother Teresa's identity. But she understood from a logistical standpoint,
yeah.
I can impact so many more people traveling around the world, and just, due to schedules and time and whatever else, it just didn't make sense for her to take a commercial flight.
Love it. Love it. But again, for people that haven't started their journey with money mindset, or they have, but it needs a bit of tweaking, because like before we started recording, I don't think you could ever have too many conversations about money, because there's never been enough conversations about money to break down those barriers. And I'm imagining that money blocks are created because people don't talk about money. But what
Mhm.
are examples of money blocks, or could you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah. So some examples would be like I have a client and she is successful, right? But for her, she's feeling like, she's almost ashamed to talk about where she's needing to maybe budget differently, right? Overspending in certain areas where she's waking up feeling anxiety every day, like the rug is going to be pulled out from underneath her because she's the first in her family to be an entrepreneur and to hit seven figures,
Right.
right? So she's never had that any type of foundation of a healthy, prosperous money mindset. And when we build our businesses and our lives on a poverty mindset, we will continue to do those cycles. Like we will see the money come, yes, but it's such very shaky foundation, right? Because it's like built on this false, like more on the ego
Okay.
side of things, right? Like how when I built my first seven figures, it was very much ego based. It was not in my purpose whatsoever. So for her, it's a money block is like feeling like she's stuck, right, in her business. Like she has to do all the things to continue to bring in the money, or she won't be able to survive. But
Okay.
she's like, I need to make shifts in my business, but I'm afraid to because I don't feel like I should have this money in the first place.
Right.
So that can be it. It can even be as simple as what you mentioned before. Like the more I have, the less somebody else will have, which is absolutely untrue.
Mm.
Money is an energy and energy is limitless. So it's like it's in abundance all the time. So the more you have takes away from no one else. But it can be even a mindset, right? Peace. It can be the self-sabotage that we spoke about earlier,
Mm.
where someone says, I want to do all the things. And then you, especially, okay, you being a projector, right? Where
Mm.
you are here to work and show the world that you can get more done in 2 to 4 hours a day than I can as a generator in 8 hours,
Mm.
right? But many of my projector clients are the busiest in the room. I can always tell a projector, right? Because their money block is that money block for most projectors is if I don't do as much as this person, then I must not want success. I have to do more because maybe the money isn't coming in yet. So let me continue to do. And then my projectors are the first to burn out.
Right. Yeah, because we don't have our own energy for
Yeah.
basis fuel thing, whatever it is. I don't know the lingo. But yeah, it's just like thinking I'm really embodying like taking rests now. And you just literally described me, because I would have been the person working harder than everybody else, because and then burn out, because that's
Mhm.
how I needed to be. But now I'm like, you know what? I just want more time off. So I'm going to have like the whole of August off with my son, and really treasure that and plan fantastic things. And I just have every faith that the business is still going to bring in money, and I'm still going to make money, and I'm still going to be able to pay myself. And that's okay. Like I just know it's going to happen.
Yes. Amen to that. And that's the truth. It's like really creating this orgasmic life around our core values, right? And that's such a prosperity mindset. Like to take the month off and know and be aligned with the fact that the money will continue to be, right? So for me, when I was building this business, I said I wanted 1 day off a month, or 1 day off a week, 1 week off a month, 1 month off a year minimum.
Wow.
So I was very conscious to build that in. And so next month is my month off,
Brilliant.
And so it's like allowing ourselves and trusting ourselves to do that, because that's scary at first, right?
It's so scary.
Yeah.
I had 3 weeks
Yeah.
off at Christmas, and I planned some days on the after Christmas, because like the holidays, you're like, you just don't stop moving, do you? You're seeing this person, that person, making this food, God knows what, and you're just on your feet all the time. And so I planned some days after, and thought, well, I could go back to work. And I was sitting there thinking, no, but I promised I wouldn't. And like the amount of discipline I had to stop myself from working. And I did the
Mhm.
odd jobs around the house, like sorting those cupboards under your bed, all of those things that you never get to. I
Yeah.
found it so energizing. I loved it. So then I was back. I felt really good that I'd kept that promise to myself.
Yeah.
Like I
Mhm.
made sure I had a good 3 weeks off, and felt
Yeah.
so much better for it. And nothing happened in the business.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. The money came in, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, it must work then.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is the deepest core wound and money wound for women is disappointment.
Right.
So it's like when we allow ourselves to think about being disappointed, like maybe the business won't do well while I'm out, or, being disappointed by, other, partners, whether it's professional or personal, it's like whatever that looks like, that in itself stops so many women from acting or not acting. And truly being in our most prosperous self. Like women, we can get over fear, we can get over sadness, we can get over anger, we can get over all the other emotions, but the deepest core wound for women, the feminine wound, is disappointment.
Wow. And why do you think that is?
I mean, it's just like, I think it's more so from this aspect of survival, right? Just
Right.
being disappointed, and, disappointment could lead to death, from thousands of years ago. So now it's like, instead of me being disappointed, I'd rather not do the thing, right? Or I have been disappointed, so I'm not going to do this other thing, right?
Mm.
To me, it's more of a safety, like a safeguard.
Is there a good reframe that you can have around disappointment? Which is sort of like, you're learning the lessons.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like leaning into it, right? Like what is
Right.
the story I'm telling myself around this disappointment? Like what could be disappointing in this moment? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I'm telling you, 90% of the time when you really dig into the story, it's not even yours. It's
That's so,
not even your
isn't it
story.
so powerful when you turn it into a question? So oh, I'm scared I'm going to be disappointed. Disappointed. What's going to be disappointing?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're like, okay, let me get
yeah,
specific here.
yeah.
I could probably solve that actually, and safeguard myself, and even be better when I start doing it. Oh, actually, there's nothing to be, disappointment isn't on the radar.
Exactly, exactly. Or to forgive ourselves for disappointing things in the past that we have kind of blamed ourselves on, right? And said, well, this happened because I did this or I didn't do this. Well, and I have a whole thing of like mantras and releases for that, because it is the past. So it's like allowing ourselves to release from the past of it all. And literally, I have like this analogy of like releasing. If you're holding bags in your hand, how can you allow for more in? So until we release the disappointments of the past, we're going to stifle and block more from coming in the present, right? So it's like releasing all those past disappointments, all the things that we carry in our DNA, like in our self, in our being.
Wow, that's a good metaphor, isn't it? Release the bags. I can just imagine you coming to the door with all the shopping bags. It's like you can't get your keys out your pocket. Is it
Yes,
kind of-
like today is a day of supermarket analogies, but it makes sense. I know you women, you feel what we're saying. Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like going to the supermarket? And I always feel like when you go to shopping, it's that reframe as well of I get to go shopping. I
Yeah.
get to drive a car to a store where
Mhm.
there is food that I can just walk in and get and walk back out
Yes.
again. And I choose to budget. How freaking amazing is that? I am so grateful. There is nothing that can
Yeah.
dampen down a
Mhm.
day when I go food shopping because I sit in that. And I think as well, growing up in poverty as I did, it was such a stressful day. Like, that time when it's like my mum only had this much and that was it.
Yeah.
She's got to feed
Yeah.
4 kids for God
Mhm.
knows how long with
Mhm.
that amount of money. It must have been terrifying. But
Yeah.
it's that's not my story.
Yeah. That's not my story.
There you go. I created this
There
one.
you go. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is like the reframe. We were talking a little bit about it earlier. Like I call my bills investments. Like what is my investment today? Because I'm investing in the lights being on, the
Yeah.
water being on, right? Like I'm investing in the nourishment in food. And then here, I don't know if in the UK you have Instacart, but we have like grocery delivery. So it's like even I don't even have to go into the store anymore. Like I can have the food literally delivered to my door step, and I mean, like, what a blessing, what a pleasure, right? So it's
Yeah.
like even when unexpected expenses come up, and I apologize, so of course they're doing trash pickup like right underneath my window.
But how fortunate are we that people come? I was thinking this. I saw the bin
Pick
van
up
today.
my
I was like,
trash,
I'm
right?
so grateful that you guys do this for a living and take my rubbish away.
Right.
It's amazing.
Hey, see the reframe? The
Yeah.
reframe is real. But it's like when we have the unexpected expenses. So say for instance, something with the car. It's like, okay, what is my investment? Because now I am investing in the safe transportation of myself, of my kids, of the things, right? So instead of looking at it from this aspect of like, oh my God, this bill, it's like, but once you take care of this investment, now you can be like, okay, that's one less thing I have to think about is getting myself and my kids, somewhere safely.
Yeah. Oh, how energizing is that conversation? I'm literally like buzzing. I want to just go in like, I might go and make some money. I don't know how. I just thought, oh, I'm so energized. I love it. Thank you so much. So I could literally talk to you all day, but I just conscious of the time. That's gone so quickly. But I wanted to ask you, as I ask everybody, what do you know now that you wish you'd known 10 years ago?
Yes, I would definitely say that, your desires, whatever those desires are, whether they're money related, life related, whatever they are, to me, those are your most prosperous, most divine creatrix self speaking to you, showing you the possibility and like what is available for you on your journey to fulfilling your purpose. Your desires are not just dreams, they're not just wishes. They are, to me, little snapshots of possibility. So feel into them, allow yourself to really think like this is possible for me, right? Making the impossible possible, because I find when we push our desires to the side, that's when so many of the shiny object syndrome, can kind of take us, because it's like we're not listening to our true selves, right? We're not trusting where we're being led. So it's like if I would have just allowed myself to really feel into my desires, I feel like I would have not wasted so much time and money and all the things on doing what I think I should be doing versus what really lights me up.
I hate that word should. Should have go shut up, should. I
Yeah.
hate that word.
Shut up, shut.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Tierra. Where can everyone find you?
Yes, so I am on Instagram at The Brave Way. My website is www.thebravewaytribe.com, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all the places, all the socials.
And you've
But
got a
my main
free you've got your free Facebook group. Can anyone join that?
absolutely, it's called
Brilliant.
Wealthy by Design. And for your listeners, I am doing a block of mini money block clearing sessions. I've actually ended them, but if someone listening lets me know that they're coming in from your show and they're ready to be more vivid, then I definitely will do a mini. session with them as well.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'll put all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time, Tierra. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vick.